So I've been wanting to do a follow-up video on the Boker cop tool. This has probably been one of the most useful tools that I own. I've broken a lot of knives over the years, and just getting to carry this thing for the last, I don't know, whatever, it's 6 months or so. I've used it for a ton of stuff. I've used it for actually stripping wire, cutting rope, things like that, straps. The serrations, you know, obviously use them for cutting boxes and everything. You can see some of the glue and stuff on there. The chisel that was kind of sharp in the first video, it's pretty well dulled out now. I'll try to take some pictures and put those up on the screen. You can see there's some chipping and some rolling, but for what I've done with it, it's actually in pretty good shape. Now I've used this to wedge between it's called a bulldog hitch, where you pull the collar back and you put this in there, and sometimes it doesn't spring, you know, you just put that in there and kind of pry it open. So I've done that with it. I've also, when new equipment arrives, I've used it to break apart wood crates where they've got them stapled or nailed together. I've just kind of put it in there, you know, wedged it in there. I actually taken this out, taken the glass breaker out, then used this guy to kind of beat it in. And this just, it screws out. It never really came undone for me. As much as I've carried it, I've lost a lot of these little glass breakers. This one did not. So I just take that out, and then I've used it like this to kind of chip it in somewhere, get some leverage, and then just pounce down on it. So if it was going to break, I would have broken it by now. I can assure you of that. I'm going to switch over and do some light cutting, light stuff like that, just to kind of show you the current condition, because it is a HCR 13 MOV, and the steel has not, I don't know, it's pretty thick, so it hasn't broken or bent or anything like that. It's still perfectly straight, but the serrations are getting dull, very, very dull. So I'll probably have to church them up a little bit, and you can feel where it's rolled on the opposite side from cutting. So just going to kind of show where it's at right now. So this is something that I cut often. Which is this webbing. I got that good in the picture there. So still cuts fairly well. Those serrations grip really well. So it'll still cut that. I find myself using this portion of it the most. Right there is probably the sharpest part. And if so, rubber hose. This is the fuel 3/8 hose. I've cut quite a bit of this with it. More of a sawing action, but it does it. You don't have to put a whole lot of pressure because the serrations are pretty good, but you can kind of see with that little bit of sawing, that's what I got through too. So it's not great. It's getting, like I said, it's getting pretty dull, but if you can get some leverage on it, it'll cut right through it, which is still an effective knife in my opinion. Shave a little bit of wood. Right inside them serrations, it does really well. So I guess if you're at work and you need to get some kindling, there you go. What else we got? Wire. Done quite a bit of wire with it, and a lot of times what I found is I can strip it from back here. I'll just kind of roll it, and then that gets you your cut kind of all the way around. It's a pretty simplistic way of doing it, I think, with this thing, but I just kind of roll it around on there. The rubber, you can see where it's spread apart. Then if you actually want to cut it, it takes a little bit more juice. That'll peel it apart. And then cutting the copper wire. Not too bad. And that's I believe that's a 12. It's a 12 gauge. I believe is what that is. Let's see here. And I've got some of this steel braided line, which is what you'll see a lot of times on like bike racks and things like that. A lot of bikes are the chains that they put these, got a little bit of wire at the end. It's all braided in there. It's like a steel wire. You'll also see these a lot of places. We'll tie up some of our some of our things to this and leave it out in a show area. So something like this, take this cap off, kind of show you the fine dining here. So just kind of creased it, didn't really cut it, and this won't cut it either, but one of the rolls that I have in there, this comes from when I cut this. I did cut it, but it's really hard on the blade and it doesn't do very well. This is a kind of a soft steel, so not really meant for that, but the copper, it works really well. If you wanted to just take a chunk of copper wire, let's see if you can see that in the camera there. But you could just pop it. So that works pretty well. And cardboard, it'll obviously cut cardboard, but I've got some of this rolled tubing here from one of my other videos. It is a thick blade, so when you get down in it, it sticks. So got that. And the gut hook doesn't really want to cut through it. So all in all, I like it. I approve of it. It's for the price. I think it was like 80 bucks if I remember correctly. All the stuff that I've cut with it. If you kind of look in close, you can see the gut hook has kind of deformed a little bit from some of the wire and stuff that I've cut. Some of the pictures I put up on there, trying to show kind of the blade area, the serrations. They're still sharp, but definitely rolled in some areas. But from the video, I don't know if you can tell, but I was really prying on this thing, and it is a solid hunk of steel. So I don't know, I like it. Hopefully, if you're looking for something as a backup tool, as something usable that can be carried pretty much anywhere. As far as like blade size, the blade size is so minuscule, and because it's serrated, it doesn't look mean. What is it? Little over inch and a half. So it's a very small blade, and the chisel, without it being stabby, it seems like I don't really get second looks for carrying something like this. It's more of a tool than being interpreted as a weapon. So let me know what you think. If I know a lot of people watched the other video, and I've had some comments asking to do an upgrade or an updated video on how it's working. So let me know what you think. If you want me to go a step farther, I'd actually like to try to destroy it, but I feel like I've already tried. I just didn't get it all on camera because it's everyday use. So anyway, thanks for watching.